Hi, Angie. I'm so happy to be here with you today at Brand Innovators. And I thought maybe the best place to start, you've had such an incredible career. You've worked across PR. You've done such a great job with the brand storytelling, multiple different brands. Can you tell us a little bit about your career journey and what led you to Churches?
Absolutely. Well, I started in nonprofit PR. I was always intrigued with television. So I got this unique opportunity to work at a TV station in Birmingham, Alabama. And then another opportunity presented itself where I volunteered as a reporter for my local hometown station. They did not have a TV reporter.
Angie, everyone I'm chatting with today has a broadcast journalism background.
I know. It's not unusual for PR and journalism to mix and match. And so the beauty of that transition is I was able to go to Atlanta to do PR and marketing for a broadcast and post-production house. So you had movie stars coming in one moment and you had, just different people from all walks of life. And I just love the idea that I know something's going to be on TV before everyone else does. That's a really cool moment.
Yeah.
And so I worked there for a while. I also did media relations for the military, all branches of the military. That was super rewarding. And then I went into do PR for staffing industries and Newell brands, working on Food Saver and Coleman and Rubbermaid. And so that was a lot of fun. So I love CPG. And then I went to another company that was a food company. And so they owned 7 restaurant brands and snack brands. And so I found a place that I felt like home. And I think the beauty of working in the restaurant industry is that your team really feels like your family because everyone has to eat.
Everyone has to eat.
Everyone has to eat. So I get to talk about food and draft that story, and it makes me hungry. You're talking about fried chicken on a webcast, and it's usually around lunch, and you're like, wait a minute, I need to eat.
So hungry, so hungry. Building a little bit on that, you recently shared a story about your mom and how your mom taught you that everyone has a story, and that's really stuck with you as a leader and kind of heightened your empathy. Can you talk a little bit about that? I loved that story.
One thing she taught me is that, she did hair for over 40 years, and it's a very personal thing to touch someone's head of hair. You're going to meet executives and the house moms and the preacher, and you really have to go into recognizing that everyone has a story, and that shapes their perspectives and their narratives. And to take it professionally, you have to know what resonates with certain people because all your messages are not going to resonate with certain people. So if you're looking at a certain demographic or a certain age group, you have to step outside the box and think, what's their story? What's their perception? How can I meet them where they are versus how do they meet the brand where they are? And it takes trust and accountability to be in that spot. So I think empathy is key to leadership for sure.
I love how you describe that. I think especially important in food, right? You said everyone's part of the family at the table, and really being able to meet them where they are is so important.
Absolutely.
Clearly why you're so effective at what you do, Angie. Thinking about those consumers, thinking about some of the younger consumers, right? Obviously at Roblox, we are really focused on Gen Z and their constant evolving needs. I'm curious how you're thinking about that at Churches and how you're thinking about marketing to connect with them.
Absolutely. So from our ads, you also want to take it to the masses. So if they're not watching TV, what are people doing? What are the younger people doing? They're constantly on their phone. If you are eating at a restaurant and you do a scan around the restaurant, you will see more people not having conversations, but more people on their phone, which
a little
sad, but it is true. So I think tapping into social media is important for our campaign. When we launched a new signature hot sauce, we were on a Hulu series called Super Hot, the Super Hot show, and it was just a lot of fun. And we partnered with up and coming rappers to actually talk about the signature hot sauce. So that's a good documentary, by the way. Super Hot, The Spicy World of Pepper People.
Okay, all in.
All in, yes, you got to go. So and recently we're actually in a movie that is now in theaters. It's called One of Them Days. It's starring Kiki and SZA. I know. I hope to run into SZA today.
Yes.
Who knows? There's a star around every corner in NOLA today. But we're in a movie. And we're predominantly placed. And so that's a unique way to show up. So whether you're leveraging up and coming rappers and tapping into the music angle, or you're getting placements in movies and they're talking about your product, but we're activating in our own way that's very authentic to who we are and being in the community. And a lot of our guests and a lot of people around the world can't, afford to be at the big game. And so they're doing their own home parties. And so how do you plug into that? So that's why we're here. So from Super Bowl to entertainment to working with rappers, we're showing up. And that's how we get to Gen Z.
Yeah. And I think that ties, kind of back to the story you're sharing at the beginning, right, of understanding people's stories and meeting them where they are, right? So you just shared a whole bunch of different flavors of that, pun intended.
Yeah.
So let's just go back to, we are at the biggest game of the year. We're at the Super Bowl. How are you thinking about sports and sort of how churches and sports helps your marketing strategy?
Well, I can tell you that a lot of our guests are a huge fan of sports, especially football. So football and chicken.
Hey,
that's
same on Roblox.
I mean, it's a winning combo, right? So we started off with Radio Row. We partnered with Malcolm Butler. He was a former Patriot.
Super cool.
Super great guy. And so we wanted to help him celebrate the 10th anniversary of his game-winning interception in the end zone, which led the Patriots to win the Super Bowl. And so we did that. We did 20 interviews in 4 hours.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And then we also fed some very hungry reporters. So we gave away 120 boxes of food, which the reporters were loving it.
I'm sure.
Did they
get apple pie too?
No, but maybe next time. We should have thought about that. Or maybe the jalapeno cheese bombers, maybe. Or the honey butter biscuits. There's so much to love about churches. So one of the things is how do you provide national cover for a localized event, right? And we wanted to do that. So that was the strategy, working with Malcolm Butler, getting those interviews with national media, also local media as well. We also launched a campaign where we have mobile billboards activating around our 10 stores in this market. So that's a really fun way to show up. I hope one of them pulls up by Popeyes, because we're being bold in the Bayou by being in Popeye territory. So we're very excited to do
being bold in the Bayou.
That's right,
yes, you are.
So with that, and then we have street teams, and they're not just handing out coupons. Yes, they're handing out coupons, right? We want to drive traffic and sales. That's another piece of it. But we're having meaningful engagements. Hey, when is the last time you've been at churches? How do you feel about churches? And you're getting different feedback, whether it's constructive feedback or positive feedback, but you're welcoming back to our place, which is in their neighborhood. And so that's another facet. And then all these events are going to culminate tomorrow, where we're going to have a block party for our neighborhood on 1600 South Claiborne Avenue from 1 to 3. I have to put a plug in for that.
How fun is this?
I know. So Malcolm's going to stop by. We're going to have DJs. And we also, you met Georgia. She was responsible for connecting with a local muralist. So we actually have a local muralist who has painted on the side of our restaurant building and really brought the flavor of the community on our walls. So our guests will get to see that on Saturday. Yeah, it's great.
So clearly, so many different innovative things you're doing to surround this big moment. When you go back to HQ, how are you evaluating success on these things? What are the key KPIs you're looking for as a marketer?
Well, there's a lot of them. Like I said on the panel, AI is currently racking those results. But, on a serious note, AI is great, but you're tried and true, like the number of placements, how much visibility you're getting through articles. You have that third-party credibility. Mm-hmm. I think the hardest thing for PR is the first thing is awareness.
Right.
But if you can drive the awareness to a behavior, then you've helped marketing get to where it goes.
Absolutely.
And I like to say that PR leads a horse to water and marketing makes it drink. So, and that's for people who don't know the difference between PR and marketing, because it's very, very different. So I'm part of the marketing mix. I'm one piece of the pie. And so having a multifaceted event here at the Super Bowl, both on a national and a local level, it's hard to tie. Like, I can't prove if someone read an article or heard a radio row mention, unless I track their phone, which maybe I could do with AI, if they went straight to churches. I'd like to think that they would go straight to churches. But that's why we also have Malcolm Butler doing social posts. He has a strong following, over 400,000. We are doing our own social post on our own channels. We're also going to track our, coupon redemptions. How many people had attended our block party? And so we're going to, I heard one leader say, if you can't measure it, you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
And I think you measure what you can, and then let that healthy halo of knowing that you did create brand awareness adds the value of trust and credibility that PR provides with the business results that the restaurant needs.
One, I think I love how you just kind of walked through all of that, the art and the science, right? And I think your explanation of how PR and marketing work together as a multiplier is so good and so accurate. So thank you for sharing all that. I want to stay on AI and innovation, though, just for a minute, because not only is churches being really innovative in their approach to marketing in this challenger space for you, but you also are bringing a lot of really interesting tech and innovation to the restaurants. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think, with the popularity and just our day-to-day life changing, AI is slowly taking over our lives. I would like to hope that there's a healthy balance of that. I think AI is incredibly helpful and it gives you ways to think about things, but I feel like sometimes that misses the human touch. So to bring it back to our restaurants, we are testing AI through our drive-through, and that helps with labor costs. So that's important. So you want to stay up with the times. Certainly just keeping up with technologies in general is important. We just launched our Real Rewards program last year. That was a big deal for us.
Yeah.
The brand has never seen that. A lot of our customers in the past were more paper coupons. And so to reach that Gen Z that you were talking about, guess what? Where are they at? They're on their phones. And just for signing up for a Real Rewards program, you get a free two-piece chicken. So it's just
amazing value.
Exactly. So how do you reward them and how you show up? So technology does play a role, but I don't think it replaces the heart and soul of why people want to connect with your brand.
Yeah.
Use technology where you can use it so you can be smarter and more effective in your outreach, but also balance that out with you can't substitute a human touch or a human interaction, and your guests have to feel that.
Yes, agreed. And I think you lean into that so heavily, right, at all the different touch points. Just a couple more questions for you. Let's go back to leadership. It's clear you have such positive energy and, exude this great vibes. I'm curious, just thinking you've been in a lot of companies, you had a lot of different roles. What is a leadership lesson that you have learned along the way that you wish other leaders also had learned?
To listen. I think listening is important. A lot of times we talk to people already anticipating what it is we want to say versus really being present and trying to understand what the person is trying to communicate, and respect that regardless if there's a difference in what you think and what they think, that is their perception. That is their truth. And so in order to get middle ground and create harmony, you really need to understand what it is they're trying to tell you, what needs to be resolved. And you can't do that if you're always thinking about what you want to say to the person that you just asked them to tell you things. Like if I said, hey, how are you feeling today? Well, I'm fine. Well, are you really fine? Ask smart questions. And when you ask them, listen.
I think that goes so hand in hand with empathy, right? The two together kind of are a multiplier and clearly have helped you propel your career. Okay, two last fun ones.
Okay.
First, very important, chicken or biscuits, or I'm adding pie now to the mix. You can only pick one because I know you would say see all of the above.
I have to say chicken.
Chicken.
Yeah, we've had a recipe that's been pretty darn good for 72 years. So I have to rely on what makes this legendary. It has to be our Our chicken.
All right. I love it. I know what we're having for lunch after this. And then I have to ask you this. We're at the Super Bowl. Chiefs or Eagles? Who do you want to win and who do you think will win?
Oh, that's an interesting question because I'm a Steelers fan. So I'm just, you know what? I'm just hoping for a really great game. A T-Swift sighting wouldn't be, that's always a fun one. If I had to say who I think is going to win, it would probably be the Chiefs. At the same time, you get to the Super Bowl and a lot of times like the teams are so good, it's not as good of a game as you thought it was going to be. So I just want them to play their hearts out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like just give me a good game. And depending on who's, playing the way I think they should, I'll choose my team on game day.
All right. I love it. Well, Angie, thank you so much. It was great chatting with you and enjoy the game.
Thank you. You too. Thanks for having me.